if you can get 16 games out of him, like his stats would be probably nuts.
Yeah.
But like he's literally playing 6 to 8 games a season.
Right.
So hopefully we get him for those 6 to 8 games running into the playoffs. This last stretch. I mean, if you can imagine if we get a healthy, explosive Percy Harvin
Right.
to close out the year, that could be huge. And then if we can get Sammy to add back, I mean, we just can't dig ourselves a hole that we can't get out of, and not
Right.
put ourselves in a position where we will never have a chance to control our destiny. So as long as we can get some of these pieces back, and if Percy is remotely close to what he can be, there's a chance there.
Yeah, and it seemed like last season, when we didn't have Sammy Watkins, it seemed like him and Harvin actually were clicking better than Sammy until the end of the year, of course, but it seemed like they were, doing a really good job of being on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, he was hitting them all over the field, and you go back to that. Is this the game from last year?
Yeah, this is a game from last year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, he caught a beautiful bomb in this game. Blew the top off. So, he can give you what's nice about Percy is he doesn't really have a defined position per
Right.
se.
Yep.
Like right here, I think he just came out of the backfield and then brought
Yeah.
him, out to the slot there, what have you, or out wide. And
Yeah, they had him in the
he
backfield,
can.
motion him out. That was beautiful. A nice speed out to Percy Harvin. It was
Yep.
nice. That's easy 6 yards, man.
And that's what we need. We need to take advantage of the matchups, get them in the backfield, find a matchup for them, and then, hopefully to execute. And
Right.
that's what it's going to take. And if he's still got his speed and his toughness and his agility, and that's why he's hurt so much, is he's a tough player.
Right.
He'll stick his nose in there, man, and he's not very big, so the odds are against him that he's going to get injured, So it's just keeping him upright. If we can get, like I said, a good 6 to 9 games, which would take us pretty much right through the end of the season,
Right.
and maybe into the playoffs, that could be huge.
Yeah, and of course, why they brought him in. Are you able to see the screen still, John? John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, of course, why they brought him in is, for deep passing. And this is where I know Tyrod's numbers this year aren't actually that good. He's got, I think he's like 6.41 in yards per attempt. And so we need something because they changed the offense around. It's not just a deep passing boom or bust offense anymore as far as passing game goes. So, of course, they want to have someone that can lift the coverage. And we don't really have someone right now that, could do that. And that's why it was nice bringing, a guy like Harvin back. Even if he only plays 20 plays tonight, they have to respect him deep.
Yeah, and he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder playing in Seattle too. So
Right.
I think he'll bring a little extra if he's got it tonight, and we'll see what he's got left in his tank. But he's going to help us with the deep ball. I mean, Marquise, is he 100% back? I think he's playing tonight, right?
Yep.
But, with all due respect, his speed is definitely a threat. But I don't per se love his game.
Right.
So I'm not afraid of him if I'm a defense. But
Right.
Percy, on the other hand, like, he'll go get it and he'll catch it. And, like, Marquise might get down the field and blow past you, but he's not always going to catch it. And, he's not as tough as Percy. But having both of those guys out there, I mean, you got to respect that.
Yeah, again, and we need to lift that coverage, especially when you're playing a team like Seattle because they're so disciplined.
Yes.
But they play a lot of single high safety. And I know we covered that in the scouting report, but they play a lot of single high safety. And so, of course, the number one pass concept to beat cover 3 defense is the verticals, hitting down the seams, hitting them deep outside. And so that's why I think it's a good play by Doug Whaley and his pro personnel staff of bringing Percy in because now I think it doesn't cost much. First of all, you didn't have to trade and give up a ton of picks. So I mean, I think that helped. That'll help
Yeah,
Tyrod.
that's huge.
Yeah, it'll help him. it'll open up things underneath, which we have enough receivers that are, can pick apart people underneath as long as we're keeping that deep threat in the minds of the defense.
Right. And the thing is with that, though, is you have to go after that, I feel like, early, or at
Right.
least, take a shot early, even if it's more of like a decoy play.
Mm-hmm.
Just have them respect it, knowing that, okay, we can't stack the box tonight. So if Shady's 90% ready to go, 100%, we could have some room in there. So
Right.
we'll see. Get both of these guys out wide, get them deep, and which, like you said, they run that cover 3 defense, and that's how you beat that.
Right, and I think this is the Percy Harvin touchdown from the Indy game. He's at the bottom of the screen, gets man coverage, no help over the top, and he's just gonna run right by that corner. He toasted him.
And then the catch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That was a pretty play.
let's like. I was going to touch on this the other day, and I forgot to talk about it. Was Tyrod from underneath the center?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I don't see that as much anymore, and I'm not keeping track, but it just, to me, doesn't seem like he's playing out of the underneath center as much.
Right.
And you could probably have a better idea how much and how often he's playing under center. But to me, and this brings back the point of reading defenses and taking your eyes off the defense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about, like, he doesn't do play action as much,
right?
Because maybe he has to take his eyes off the defense, and he's having a hard enough time diagnosing stuff as it is.
Yep.
And then that might have something to do with him maybe running out of the shotgun, because there is a split second that you have to take your eyes off the defense to make sure you secure the ball and on a shotgun play. So that may have and even if it's a minute, small percentage of something that's affecting it,
right,
at the end of the day, what is it doing? It's affecting it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him play more out of maybe from underneath center. I mean, it looked like he had a pretty good drop back there.
It's pretty. And you know what? Nate Geary and I discussed this last night when we talked and evaluated him. We both agree that, obviously Tyrod's fundamentals aren't top notch. They're not elite yet. Will they ever be? We don't know. But, by putting your quarterback under center, it does help him go through the process of being a quarterback. And part of that process is the fundamentals. It's a drop. It's, being able to read defenses from under center and getting to the top of your drop and getting rhythm. And it helps to me, and I referenced this last night as well, is, Trent Dilfer said in the offseason about Greg Roman's passing game that he wanted to see more, develop from the drop back game. And, we still haven't done that. We're still one of we're in the shotgun. It looks like
it's like easy to have bad footwork,
right,
playing out of the shotgun, dude.
Yeah.
Like if you actually have to drop back, you already get your feet going in those motions of setting back, and then coiling and then firing. And we're not seeing that from him. He's flat-footed. He's not on his spots when he's coming out of the from the shotgun.
Right.
So maybe do a couple more 5 to 7 step drops just to get his rhythm and his feet work back.
And that's what's important.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, exactly. And that rhythm, to me, we've never seen it in this passing game where he's hitting the top of his drop and getting rid of it. When you're in the shotgun, obviously your footwork changes, and it does make you a little sloppy in the pocket. But and again, I kind of talked about this yesterday. He resorts to athleticism and just he'll stand back there, and when he gets antsy, obviously your clock's different back there because of you're not making too much of a drop, so those defenders also know the spot.
Right. So and plus it takes, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not a defensive coordinator, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I am. But you would think, you get a better idea of what the play is going to be. I mean, I know they run a lot out of the shotgun nowadays, but at least you got they run play action out of the shotgun now. So the point I was going to make, I guess, is irrelevant. But I just want to see him make more plays and do a little bit more out of underneath the center, because again, it helps you, like you say, diagnose defenses.
Right.
you're in the mix of it, and it helps your footwork out because you can actually take those steps, drop back, step up in the pocket, and fire the ball downfield. And
You're right.
it's just do it.
Right, and it does affect the play action because when you're most of the time when you're in shotgun and that back is to your right or your left and you're faking it, it's more of a wide fake. So you're stretching the defense more horizontally, and yeah, you can find gaps that way, but they're only going to bite so much. And what you really want to do to help a quarterback, especially like Tyrod, you want to have those linebackers coming towards the line of scrimmage on the play fake because then you can sneak, it gives you more room between the linebacker level and the coverage level. And that's where Tyrod needs to improve is that intermediate passing game, because he showed last year he could be pretty good deep. He showed this year he can be a good, short passer. Now we need to work on that intermediate game. And honestly, according to Pro Football Focus, that is where his weakness is this year. Again, it could be the offense, but it also could be, that we're running so much shotgun. I know we're top 5. I know Nate gave the stat last night. I think it was 74 or 78% of the time we're in shotgun, and that's outrageous.
That's crazy.
We were top 5 last year too.
Think about it. If you got the deep quadrant of the field, the underneath stuff, and then you're saying what Tyrod needs to work on, which is the intermediate stuff, right? Yep. So to me, if you're a good intermediate passer, then you're probably a good NFL quarterback.
Right.
Because that is where you make your dough. That's where you make your hay is in those, what's the yardage, like 10 and like 25 yards in, out or something? So
right. It's usually 0 to 9 and then 10 to 19, then and 20 plus. So, and that's where he needs to work on that 10 to 19 because, like I said, he showed last year he could go deep. He showed this year he can throw it short. But I think if we put him under center, not only will it help his fundamentals, it'll help him with the play action. And that's where we need to get better because we're not that good in play action this year.
He's not very urgent when he's got the ball in his hands, when he's getting rid of the ball. Like, it seems like he's kind of just, take his time and then, get rid of the ball. It's not so much the actual time wasted. It's kind of the motions, and I don't know. And you just don't see the urgency. And I like to see more of like bubble screens, stuff like that, quick hitches or, quick outs, quick throws, 3-step drops. Get your ball in your playmaker's hands. Right. If you're not going to run the ball as a quarterback or run the ball, period, in the run game, then get your receivers the ball quickly because we've already clearly established we cannot throw the ball down the field, at least intermediately.
Right.
And that's where you're going to get your first downs and your big plays from.
Yeah, you're right, man. And, I'm looking up the stats right now on his play action because, again, I think that being a shotgun, it does affect his play action. And right now, we run play action 15.3% of the time. And that is actually the sixth lowest or sixth least this year in the league. So, I mean, you can tell, and what happens is, and maybe the coaches know something we don't. Obviously, we don't see these guys every day because, when we run play action, this isn't just from shotgun, but play action period, his completion percentage is actually 3 points less than when he doesn't run play action. So maybe, Dilfer said in the offseason, develop that drop back game, or maybe in a sense, although it's out of the shotgun, maybe that's what Anthony Lynn is doing. He is being more focused on just dropping him back and not worrying about the play action. But to me, that's shortchanging your offense because our rushing game is number 2 in the league.
Right. You got to take advantage of that.
Right.
Like, if you have a strong running game, you, in theory, should have a strong play action game.
No doubt.
And if we don't, not only if we don't, but we're not even attempting. Like, it's one thing not to be able to do it. It's another thing to not even attempt to do it.
Right.
And in my opinion, at least I don't, it's not even my opinion, statistical evidence is showing us that they're not even doing it,
right,
which is head scratching. So, that has to be looked at internally in the coaching meetings because you got to take advantage of your strengths. And I don't see, that's one thing I don't see from this team is taking advantage of their strengths to build on another possible strength, to feed off the strength, to get to another strength. We're not seeing those correlations. And I think that comes with maybe maybe just an underexperienced offensive coaching staff or maybe in just a coaching staff altogether, because you would assume your head coach would chime in and see these things. So, I'd like to see more from our coaching staff to see these types of plays manifest.
Right, and that's what's great about this. After this game, going into the bye week, that is one thing they do in the bye week is reevaluate and self scout their own team and positions, and everyone from top to bottom evaluates themselves, and so that is a good thing. So I'm bringing up Tyrod's numbers because, of course, he has struggled, like I said, in the intermediate area, and I'm going to bring up the exact numbers. He actually has been graded quite well. He's not that he's not graded well. It's he's 8 for 17 from 10 to 19 yards to the left. So outside the numbers to the left, from 10 to 19 yards, he's 8 of 17. So I mean that's what 50%, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, a rating of 86.2, which is one of the lowest ratings across the field itself. Middle of the field, he's 9 of 13 for 156 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but he has a 109 rating. And from the right sideline to the numbers, from 10 to 19 yards, he's 10 of 19 for 180 yards. So that's his best area. And it seems like most of his numbers, and I know my buddy Mario Granada from #Sports brought this up, most of his numbers and where his struggles are, like he's good. He's, being a right-handed quarterback, right-handed dominant. Seems like most of his, numbers are from to the right side of the field, and his left side are actually, the numbers are quite low, which is, I don't know if that's, a tendency or what, but it is quite noticeable when you look at the distribution chart. So we do need to, look at him and evaluate the team and how this offense can, get better, because obviously we're one of the worst offenses in the league, and they definitely need to improve upon that.
No, I agree. And he's typical running quarterbacks that like to move around, and especially ones that are, right-handed. They like to move to their dominant side. I mean, you saw Big Ben doing that for years until
Right.
he just got to the point where, he couldn't move anymore except just shake him off inside the pocket. So I think it is a tendency, and I think teams have figured that out, that he likes to move to his right and he plays better to his right. So let's either keep him in the pocket or get him to his left. And he's not being able to adjust, at least yet.
Right.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he was saying, like, it seemed to me when, Tyrod took over the helm that he would just, matriculate down the field.
Mm-hmm.
Chop it up down the field, get 5-6 first downs on a drive,
Right,
and pop it in. And then, and now we're not seeing that. And how much of that has to do with his weapons being gone? I mean, and I want to say it has a lot, but I don't know how much it does, and
right.
I hate to put all this blame on him, and it's easy to do it because he's the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, the throws aren't there. We've seen throws are high, throws are missed, throws are late. So certainly that plays into it. But are they late because the receiver isn't getting to his break or his route fast enough because he's only been in the system for 3 weeks?
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into, like, the evaluation of Tyrod. And I want to see him do well because I think he does have the tools. I think he needs to, like, settle in a little bit,
Right.
and really, really just zone in on his game, because to me, he's got the tools. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how these next few weeks play out, especially after the bye week.
Right. And we'll get back to the main topic of Percy Harvin because, he's, like I said, I think he's projected to play 15 to 20 snaps tonight. And I'm looking at his snap numbers again. And, last year he was targeted 29 times out of those, 240, plus snaps. Targeted 29 times, caught 19 receptions for 218 yards, which was like 11.5 yards per reception. And, he really didn't have as much yak as we'd wanted, from him, especially he's so dangerous with the ball in his hand,
He's like I said earlier, like, you can't really put a designation on him because he can beat you in so many ways.
Right.
He can beat you out of the backfield, from the slot, from the outside, direct snap, whatever the case is, and he can create. He's another guy similar to Shady and Tyrod, for that matter, that can create when there's nothing there. And that's the kind of player we need right now, because there's not a lot there, and we need a guy that can make a 3-yard hitch go 80.
Right.
And he's that guy. So we're desperately in need of a player like that. Let's hope he's got some juice left.
Right, you're right, and we need those explosive plays, because we don't have Watkins anymore to do that. And of course, he could take a screen, he could take a 3-yard slant and take it to the house on any given play. And in this game versus New England that I have up on the screen, he caught 4 receptions out of 5 for 47 yards. Nothing special, no touchdowns or anything like that, but averaged just under 12 yards of reception. But it's that threat. I mean, they have to account for him. They have to roll coverage of him when he's on the field on the outside, because he can take it and he can be explosive in the pass game and in the run game. I wouldn't be, dude. He knows this offense, so he's not going to miss too much of a beat. He'll miss it physically, but don't be surprised if they use him in the backfield and use him in the role that they've been using Tate, on those reverses and those, option plays.
No, 100%.
I mean, you watched a lot of Georgia Bulldogs and when he was at Florida too. I'm sure you watched a lot of that.
Why wouldn't you do that? I expect.
Yeah. That's how they can get
he's going to get
early.
Yeah, I would expect to see him get the first play, especially knowing Rex. He's kind of like
take that crowd.
He likes to be a little cheeky sometimes, and some stuff like that, which I'm not always on board with, but whatever.
Right here. See him. I mean, Percy Harvin gets the end around here for 7 yards versus New England. Look where he is, dude. He's lined up deep in the pistol, and that's 7 yards. I mean, we'll take that. That was a 3rd and 4 play.
Look at all those guys out in front of him too.
Right.
Just that convoy of linemen, man, and blockers. I love plays like that. And
think about this, John. When we did the scouting report, right? What was the main play the Saints were running? They were running that trips bunch and running these tosses to the outside. So, it'd be nice to see some of these plays.
They need to pull that out of the vault and get those rolling. And maybe they weren't rolling because the personnel didn't, work. But they got probably every piece that's in that clip. I think that might be still on our team right now. So I don't see why they wouldn't do that.
All right, so hold on here, John. We have someone calling in. See if I can bring them in here. How's it going? Can you hear me? This is Eric Turner from Cover One.
Hey, Eric. This is Shawn from Dallas, Texas.
What's going on, Shawn? Thanks for checking in, buddy. How you feeling tonight?
Yeah, I'm on my way to the Bills backers bar here in Dallas. I'm excited. I do expect a low-scoring game, and I do think the Bills, have a chance based on seems like the Seahawks defense is maybe a little bit vulnerable right now, and I think it kind of plays into our strength. Being on the road, being in Seattle does leave some doubt in my mind.
Right.
I always get excited for Bills games, and I always hope that they can come out with these W's. And, but I was going to talk about Percy Harvin. And
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about the addition of him. I was thinking about – it was one of the first plays I remember when he was with the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
And I think they were on a Monday Night Football game. It was the first game that he played for the Seahawks. It might have been in the first series.
Mm-hmm.
They run a jet sweep, and Russell Wilson is under center, and Percy Harvin comes flying by at the snap, gets the ball, and it was a 24, 25-yard run on, the first possession, and just handing it off, the jet sweep, right? From underneath the quarterback under the center. It just seems like when the Bills run little plays like that, they're running them out of shotgun. It's a little slow developing from what I remember seeing Percy Harvin do.
Right.
Even when he was with the Vikings and when he was with the Seahawks, I would like to see that element added. And I think you mentioned little swing passes.
Right.
I don't expect him to get a lot of snaps, but I can see a jet sweep. I can see a swing pass. I can see a wide receiver screen, and I can see one deep ball going his way tonight. And maybe he only plays 10 plays, but he has 4 opportunities to make big plays for us. And I'm hoping that he becomes our punt returner, to tell you the truth.
That's a good point, Shawn. I mean,
Yes.
I know he's been, sitting on the couch for a while here, but to see him, like he's so dangerous. Why not throw him out there? Of course, then that takes away, if he does get injured, then we're, screwed in that department. But why not, man? At this point, we need this win.
Yeah, we need to win, man. And
I love the fact, Shawn, I love the fact of getting him running full speed and get him the ball right then, like with the jet sweep. That's a beautiful idea. Bubble screens too, I think, would be good with him. Anytime you can get him running and get him out in space, advantage Percy.
Yeah. No, and we did use some of that jet sweep, Shawn, versus Arizona, and I kind of brought that up on, I don't know if you can see it on your phone or your tablet or whatnot, but we did use a lot of that jet sweep versus Arizona. Like you said, out of shotgun primarily, but what it does, especially against a team that packs everything inside, is it'll open up some run lanes inside for, whether it's Shady or Gillisley, or if Williams is playing, get those inside runs, and we can get the edge on these guys. The Saints showed that last week on tape, that you can get the edge on these guys. And when you have a Shady McCoy or a Percy Harvin that are explosive players, they get to the edge. They're gonna take it to the house, unlike Hightower last week.
Yeah, I was watching, looking on Instagram a minute ago, and I don't know who posted it. It was Buffalo Bills. They posted a highlight of Percy Harvin warming up just a minute ago, just taking a couple of snaps or a couple of steps off the. He just looked explosive. I'm thinking, holy smokes, he looks fast. So I am just, I think I liked him last year when he was with us, and I was really bummed to see him go down.
Right.
And I'm kind of wondering if maybe he wasn't as electric last year as it looks like right now. Those first few steps, he looked explosive. I'm thinking, okay, I like this. So, another point, Eric, guys, the defense. I think our defensive front and their offensive line's a weakness right now. So there's another, I think, advantage in a possible. Now, hey, we know this. The Seahawks have a great defense.
Yeah.
And I'm scared to death that this is gonna be a 6-3, a 9-6 kind of football game.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of that, but I do think we're not gonna expect to score much. But I would like to see, our defense kind of take advantage of their weaker offensive line and Russell Wilson being a little bit limited. Hopefully he doesn't have a breakout game today, but he's definitely been very limited this season.
Right.
And, so there's a couple of other things. I just think that there's some things in our advantage, but I do think that their home field advantage is it's going to be so big.
Right.
Sometimes we understand watching these games how, they struggle. The offense really struggles sometimes in away games when the other opposing fans are extremely loud.
Right, and you raise a good point, and Jon and I spoke about this before. I can't remember if it was, we recorded it or not, but Jon, we had several pre-snap penalties in the last couple of weeks, almost reminiscent of Greg Roman offenses, not just on offense but on defense too. And that crowd, it will play a factor, and in our offense specifically, it has to be on the same page, because or else this crowd will take us right out of the game.
Yeah, we have to take the crowd out of the game early. Yeah. And then maintain that. We have to convert on third downs. And we have to score early. So those are things that we have to make sure we can do is execute. And our communication this week is going to be huge, not only on offense but on defense. So if indeed the crowd does get into it, which chances are they're good, we have to be on the same page, all 11 players, every play. And hopefully this week that was a focal point with the team.
No, I agree. And how do you
take it? Hard.
It's got to be it definitely. And they have an uphill battle. There's no doubt about that. And I wanted to bring some stats into this because of course, how do you take a crowd out of it? Of course, you score early, but there are other ways to do that too. And Shawn, is kind of goes to your point of having the defense dominate the line of scrimmage. But in offense, we have to do the same thing. And how do you do that? You run the ball. And you control the clock. And honestly, this year, the Bills, if you look up on the screen, we've had a decent number of 10-play drives. We've had, 18.39% of our drives this year are 10-plus plays or more. So, I mean, that is something that, the Bills need to get back on track with, because the last couple of weeks we've been sputtering out with a lot of 3-and-outs and whatnot. So, and this is courtesy of sportingcharts.com. So, yeah, dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides. I think, honestly, that's the only way we can win. And the fact that Seattle doesn't have their best player, Michael Bennett, that does help us. But you got to look on our side, too. We don't have Darius O'Brien, and that does worry me against a zone-run team.
Yeah. Another point I was going to bring up as far as the 3-and-out, that's the one thing that kind of bothers me about our team. And I go back to the first down play.
Right.
The first down play, it seems like sometimes the play calling, dictates. For instance, I like watching Gillislee or Shady McCoy taking it right up the middle and getting 4 yards. I'm okay with that. But it seems like sometimes when they try to do, a read option to the outside, an off tackle play, sometimes it's that, that takes too much time for they lose 4 or 5 yards, and now we're in 2nd and 14. That first down play to me, I want 3 or 4 yards every time, whether it's just running the ball directly up the middle and getting quick yardage so we can set ourselves up for those longer drives. I mean, because 2nd and 6, this team does not do good on 2nd and 14 or 2nd and 15.
No, you're right.
No, there's no team built back in, and you're right, Shawn. I mean, how do you start every drive? You might as well – you start every drive 2nd and 14, 2nd and 10. Absolutely. You get yourself in a good down and distance, and then you got, like you said the other day, you got your whole playbook open still. And we keep putting ourselves behind the 8 ball early in the down, and it just puts us in a bad spot to convert. So that's a great point.
First down is the key at both sides of the ball this week. And Shawn, I'm sure you saw it on Twitter that Football Outsiders came out with a stat that only 3 teams lose more yardage on first down. So, yeah, you're running those pretty plays and trying to get cute and trying to, outflank them. I get that. But, having second down and 9 yards, 2nd down and 8 yards is a lot to overcome for a team that struggles to pass.
Yeah, exactly. I'm okay with, running the ball up the middle every time. I really am. I think our strength sometimes is running between the tackles. Right. And it seems like, it doesn't, like I said, we don't have to hit a home run every time. And what kind of drives me nuts sometimes are the first down, they run a swing past the wide receiver, 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and we lose 6 yards.
Right.
And, sure, I'd like to see some of these plays work, but for whatever reason, for the Bills, they have a hard time, to me, doing anything outside of between the tackle runs on first down. And if we don't get that going, then there are a lot of 3-and-outs because, like you said, the next play call on 2nd and 6 or 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2,
right.
There's a lot more options for our team right there. I'd like to see Tyrod run a little bit more today too.
Yeah, right? I mean, I understand that if he gets hurt on a run or whatnot, I mean, it pretty much screws our season up. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, honestly, you gotta incorporate his legs more, in my opinion, because, yeah, we've had a decent amount of rollouts and but just, the only time we've run a lot of zone read is inside the red zone, and it's worked, don't get me wrong, and maybe that's why it worked, because we don't bring it out as often.
Eric, the reason Tyrod is in this league, with all due respect, is he's athletic as hell. Yep. Okay, for lack of a better word, but he's running 4.4s. I mean, you need to take advantage of that. There is no other quarterback that can run like that in the league. Right. So why not take advantages of his strengths? Clearly he's not the ideal pocket passer. We've established that. We have to take advantage of his running. I mean, you go back to some of those Michael Vick years. How much fun was that to watch that?
Yeah.
And, he can be that player. He just has to utilize it. I mean, for me, it seems that he protects himself pretty decent when he's running the ball. I don't see him take a ton of big hits. So take advantage of your strengths and what got you there.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Hey, guys.
Yes, Shawn, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up one more point. And
of course.
I appreciate you guys talking to me. All right.
Hey, we'll go all night, Shawn.
I want to say this. Yeah, when I first called in was Tyrod Taylor is, for some reason or another, the way that I'm assessing him this year, last year he got a lot of props across the league for his play, for his deep passes, for just, I mean, whatever he did last year looked so much smoother than what we're doing this year. And I don't know, and even though he wasn't throwing the ball over the middle last year, he still got a lot of positive praise. But this year he looks different in the way that he's, the types of throws that we're doing. It just looks different to me, Eric. And you're like the filming guru. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? He doesn't look as, I don't know, as confident, as smooth. Just something looks off compared to what he did last year. What's your thoughts on that?
I honestly would kind of disagree with you. I think the switch to Anthony Lynn has definitely helped Tyrod Taylor, and actually helped him develop more reads and progressions, because after going back and watching, went back and watched all the film from this year specifically, and paid attention to the first 2 games under Greg Roman, and then obviously the last few under Anthony Lynn. And Anthony Lynn has helped Tyrod develop, and go through progression and reads and whatnot. Now he does still miss some reads and whatnot, but as far as his throwing, I brought it up last night. Do you guys think that this contract has affected? I still have a theory, much like Gilmore, that this contract hanging over his head is kind of, maybe hindering progress or him taking chances. And he's being too conservative on a lot of throws because he knows, John, if he plays it safe, what's going to happen?
Eric, what's going to happen. And the thing is with him, Eric, is he doesn't take the chances. And that's, like I was saying the other day, I'm okay with a pick every once in a while.
Right.
If you're throwing the ball all over the yard and trying to take that shot and trying to make that throw, and you're seeing the attempts, but he is ultra conservative,
right,
and it's to his detriment. And you're not seeing the progression from his passing game by him not even being a little gun shy. I feel like he's gun shy to the point where he's not throwing the ball, like you said, in that intermediate windows, which are those are the hard windows to go through.
Yeah, and of course, Shawn, his fundamentals aren't that good, and that plays into it. And maybe because now that we've switched to a coordinator that is working on developing him, and having David Lee develop him more, maybe that'll help him maybe get smoother in his reads, because let's face it, he's not making. How often does it make it to his third read? So
right, yeah,
that's definitely something.
I brought that up. If you look at his last year's yard per attempt, I think he was hitting close to 8 yards an attempt at one point during the season, and maybe it finished out there. But it's like this year we're at about 5 yards an attempt, if I'm not mistaken, and the percentage is down. A couple of games in a row at 50%. And I know the weapons. You got to take the weapons, and they are dropping passes. I'm still a Tyrod fan, and I see more good than not. And we all know he's not going to be Tom Brady, and there's only one of those in the NFL. But I guess I look at Chris Kessler from the Cleveland Browns. The dude's already had 2 or 3 300-yard games.
Cody Kessler.
And they can't have. Kessler.
In losses.
Browns, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But in losses, the guy's he's slinging the ball all over the field.
Right.
I agree. The thing is with that, it's like we had those opportunities where we've had garbage time, and we've had what have you to kind of pile up those kind of numbers, and we're still not seeing it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like you said before, he's not going to be Tom Brady. And I'm okay with him throwing for 200 yards if he's picking up 60, 70, 80 on his feet too, though. Because that gets me, total yardage almost 300. So I can live with that. But we're not seeing that either.
Well, Shawn, you're right. His yards per attempt last season, he was 5th. He had the 5th highest yards per attempt at 8 yards an attempt. This year, the offense has shifted, so we got to take that into account. And of course, weapons, not having the weapons there does matter. And he went from 5th to 27th at 6.41 yards per attempt per Pro Football Focus. So of course, a lot of factors, contribute to that. But and I think primarily the reason for that drop is the weapons and the shift of the drop back game by Anthony Lynn and throwing it shorter, because and the offensive line struggles. Let's keep it honest here. Their offensive line, although they have some decent players on it and veterans, they have struggled and given up a lot of pressures. And there are a lot of factors to that, too, because some of that is Tyrod Taylor holding the ball, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it, though, guys. Like, bringing in Percy Harvin is huge because he already has a rapport with Tyrod. And, Eric, you touched on it a little bit earlier is, it seemed like he liked going to him a little bit more than Sammy. At least he felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And so this could be huge right now. And I know last year, at least from the reports I read, that, Percy wanted to stay. It's just his body just wouldn't let him. So we'll see if today there's – I'd like to see 10 targets to Percy tonight. I know that's asking a lot for a guy just coming off the couch, but he's a world-class athlete, fellas.
Yeah.
Let's not discount that. He's
playing
ready
against
to roll.
His former team, playing against guys he's gone, hundreds of practices against, that knows their ins and outs. Like, I mean, this is a big thing, and this is a Rex Ryan move for sure. I know Doug Whaley pulled the trigger on Harvin, but Rex always plays guys like this and likes to feature them. Let's be honest here. He likes featuring these kind of guys. And guess what? We say maybe 15, 20 snaps. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he plays over half the snaps, honestly. He is that kind of athlete, like you said, John. And Shawn, I mean, I didn't see the footage that you were talking about pregame, but it's not – I wouldn't be surprised if he's more explosive than he was last year because he was not 100% last year.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. I give ourselves a good chance. And like you said, ball control to me has got to be the key. I want to see, us, 35 to them 25 and, minutes. And I want to see us, get a lot of, first downs, running the ball, and I would love to see a couple of I would like to see Percy Harvin have a breakout game today, man. I tell you.
Honestly, I think if he has John, if he has anywhere near 10 targets, 6, 7 catches, he's going to be up over 100, especially versus, like I said, remember, John, we talked in the scouting report, their corner that's opposite Richard Sherman, Deshaun Sheed, he's a guy that cannot handle those speed receivers. We talked about that, right?
Yeah, it's funny. We didn't even really touch much on Percy with him. I don't know if that was before we had Percy or what, but he's the exact player we need going against him. He's long and rangy, Sheed is, and obviously Percy's compact and he's more of the water bug type player. Right. So he's going to have his hands full, especially if he's playing either the X or Y position. And how do you cover that guy that his 3-cone is like, sub 7, 6'7", 6'8". So it's going to be tough to stop a guy like Percy tonight, especially if he's on his game. So to pick him up for this game to me is that was a huge play by Whaley and Rex.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be great because, Cooks, Michael Thomas, those receivers took advantage of speed last week, and that's been, kind of the case this year, especially because teams don't really want to attack Richard Sherman. So, go after him. Why not? You're not going to have many opportunities against Richard Sherman. But although Sherman was taken to the house a few times last week on some deep comebacks, which is this offense's number one route,
Oh, absolutely. And we'll see. I'd like to get a little piece of Sherman. He talks a lot of trash, and every once in a while you got to eat crow and you got to get beat. So why not tonight? And I think if there's any team that can do it, the underdog, the Buffalo Bills, who we all ride for. That you may not like them, but you kind of love them a little bit. Right. Let's see it tonight. Let's see it tonight. I want to see it on the big stage again. Eric, goes to my point I've been saying every week. Do it on the big stage when it matters the most in the fourth quarter on the road. That's when you're a good team. Right. Can you do it then? So we'll see tonight if we're able to stay in the game long term. Have it be competitive late. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's a blowout on our end. But chances are that's not going to happen. And can you deliver when it matters most? And I'm interested to see how this plays out.
Right, and you know what? Rex needs that statement game. We lose the first 2 games. We go on a nice roll, and then, we get something going, and then we just lose the next couple, This is a statement game. I mean, this is a game that could really, propel you, not just to the bye week, but propel your whole season, into the playoffs where we need to be, what the city really needs. And this is a statement. This could be a statement game for Rex, and it seems, with the Harvin move and and some of the things that he's going to probably pull out on defense versus this struggling, Seahawks offense, I think he has a real chance here to gel this team after, a couple rough weeks.
Yeah, this game could propel us for the home stretch of the schedule, because if we can get a big win on the road, I mean, granted it's an out of conference game, so it's only as big as a win on the win column, but we'll take that, get us into the break here get some of our guys back,
right.
And this could be huge for a confidence build, especially if Percy has a big game and go into the bye week, have him study some more, get these guys healthy. Man, that could really do wonders. We got the meat of our schedules is this back end here with as far as conference and divisional play.
Right, and if
the way I look at it,
mm-hmm.
the way I look at it, guys, is the Patriots are the premier team this year in the NFL. There is no doubt about it. It's the Patriots, the way they are right now, and everybody else.
Yeah.
Them beating us was only typical of what they're doing. I do think what you said, John. I'm right with you. The remaining of our schedule, every single team on the schedule is beatable. Now, after you watch the Raiders play last night, I think that's going to definitely be a tough one, and they're playing a lot better than I imagined. But you look at the Bengals, they're down. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the last 3 games, they've looked awful.
Right.
And then, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cleveland Browns, we are going to have a chance. This game right here is a statement game, just like you said. If we win this game, it sets us up for a really good run to possibly, do what we hope they do.
Right.
Go to the playoffs.
For sure, and that's why it's a must win, because if they don't win, then there's gonna be a lot of questions that need to be answered for 2 weeks, and that's and we don't need that kind of. There's too many games left to be already having those discussions, so we definitely have to win this game tonight, and a lot of it has to go on. Can our matchups and our strengths overcome, what they're bringing to the field tonight? I mean, it's going to be tough, guys.
It is.
Tough.
It is.
It will be.
This game, and then we go into the bye for Week 10, and we have the Bengals, Jags, Raiders, and Steelers, like you mentioned, Shawn. And I don't care who we're playing, honestly, in the next few weeks. The Bills haven't proven to us that they can just beat anybody on any given day, and this game is one of those chances, man. Like, they need to grab it.
Yeah.
And just run with it, because we don't have – let's face it here. We haven't had a mentally tough football team in many, many years. And to go in to Seattle on a primetime game, on a Monday night game, and to beat a team of that caliber, of a team that's been in big games and has won big games and has proven, players that can win in this league and proven leaders – and they're a franchise. They're one of the few franchises that set the template for a good organization, top to bottom, and that's where we need to be to win consistently.
And they have continuity, guys.
Right.
Is Seattle, and to me, that's such a huge component in any organization, no matter what kind of business you're running. And to me, right now, we're building towards that. It seems like we have some good, solid structure at the top. Let's continue to build from the top down, and we'll be a team because the Seattle Seahawks, 5-10 years ago, that team was an afterthought.
Right.
No one paid any attention to the Seahawks and what they were doing and what kind of organization they were. Yeah. But they got the right guys in, and they did it the right way, and they built their team, and now they're a perennial playoff team. So, it's not like it can't be done. The Saints won a Super Bowl. Seattle's won a Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills can win a Super Bowl. It's not the Chicago Cubs won a World Series, for Christ's sakes. The Bills can win a Super Bowl. So, let's stop acting like we can't do it and just go take it for once.
Definitely, and that's one of those chances here tonight, And I saw a stat today on Seattle's defense, because obviously they're one of the tops in the league, and again, it's because of continuity and it's because of the top-to-bottom organization. It's top-notch, and they only have one first-round pick on that defense. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing. that's a big testament to their scouting department.
Absolutely.
And their general manager and just taking chances. And to have a team that has a top-notch defense for like the last 3 or 5 years,
right,
with one first-round pick.
And I believe that's Earl Thomas, I think, is the only first-round pick on that defense.
That's saying a lot. And the guys that they have is, like Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. Those guys are the heart and soul of that team, though, as far as, like, the inside. I mean, they do a lot. Mm-hmm. So let's not – they kind of get lost a little bit because from the Legion of Boom, the defensive backfield. But those those linebackers – man, they can run, they can tackle, they can diagnose, they can rush the passer. So they're very versatile at the linebacker position. So that's another matchup we have to be mindful of tonight is neutralizing those linebackers and then obviously finding some space. So that's going to be a tough game tonight, man.
I'm excited.
Think about it, the tougher it gets.
Hey, Eric.
Yes, Sean, what's up?
Does Russell take many sacks?
I think Russell, he's kind of similar to what, Tyrod's done this year. He's gotten a good portion of throwaways. You know what, let me bring those up for you real quick. It looks like he has been sacked 12 times, which is actually, some of the least, I'd say. Not many at all. He's the sixth least sacked quarterback in the league. Of course, Tyrod Taylor's been sacked 18 times, and that puts him at 16th, tied for 16th. So, Russell Wilson is smart, though. I mean, that's what Jon and I talked about in the scouting report. Obviously you have to confuse him and get him to hold the ball, especially now that he's kind of hampered. He doesn't have the escapability with a knee injury, but he does get rid of the ball and throw it away just as much as Tyrod Taylor does this year. And they're gonna have to do a good job of muddle rushing, containing him into the pocket, which he can still kill you that way, like Jon said in the report. He can still kill you that way. But you know what? That's where your chances are. Keep him in there. And eliminate those big plays. They're very similar quarterbacks in many ways, but Russell doesn't take as many sacks because he knows that, the coverage, the play may not work versus this coverage. So he knows he needs to get rid of it or whatnot. So he's a smart quarterback.
It goes back to his intelligence, Eric, right? It's one of those things where, you may think you have him and then he does something that you don't expect or you don't even game plan for. So he's the number one piece I'm looking at tonight as far as if we can get to him and make his day rough, we got a definite chance to win tonight. But if he's just sitting back there, picking his spots, then it's going to be a long day for us.
Right, and of course, as a D coordinator, Shawn, I mean, do you blitz him? Do you want to bring pressure, but you don't want to bring too much pressure because he can diagnose that. And he's been under pressure 37% of his snaps this year, and he still has a completion percentage of 51.9%, which is is number 7 in the league while he's under pressure. So of course he can operate under pressure, unlike our quarterback who he's under pressure 41% of the time, and his completion percentage is 41%, and that's the fourth worst in the league.
That's awful, yeah.
So, I mean, you have a delicate balance of do I blitz him, do I pressure him? And I think what it comes down to tonight is, you got to rush 4. I know we're kind of hurt right now. I saw, obviously, Lorenzo Alexander is active tonight, so that's a good thing. I mean, how many snaps he gets is to be seen, but he is active officially, as is McCoy and Charles Clay, which we expected, but I mean, we got to have Alexander, especially because of those missing pieces up the middle, which is, of course, any quarterback doesn't want that pressure up the middle, and Russell Wilson is no different.
Oh, yeah. That's big news, man, having Lorenzo out there tonight.
Yeah.
I can't remember who – I thought it was Gruden. Gruden was – he said who – John Murphy asked him. I don't know if you guys heard this today or not, but on the John Murphy show today, John Gruden was asked, who on this Bills team get you going is a guy that you like.
Is he gonna be a grinder? Is he gonna be a Gruden?
I could see it. You might want to take the over on that one, but I think he might be because he mentioned he's like the guy I like is Lorenzo Alexander, and who doesn't? How can't you like him?
Right, and he's right now.
He did use the word grinder.
Oh yeah. He did? Well, I mean, right now,
Alexander.
Alexander has, it's crazy. He's the 6th rated pass rush productivity in the league for outside linebackers. Dude, he has a 12.4 pass rush productivity. He has 24 total pressures, and it's not like he's even playing every single snap, because now in the last couple of weeks you saw Shaq get some more snaps, obviously, and he's still up there, pressures from all over. Left side, left side he has, he has 26 snaps from the left side, and he's got, 7 total pressures. From the right side, he's got 137 pass rush snaps and 17 total pressures. So most of his pressure is from the right side. But, having him, John, you're right, John, having him is going to be tremendous, because not only just rushing, but guess what? Now they can, have some chess pieces to spy Russell Wilson too. That's the other thing.
His whole game, Eric, I mean, he's the type of player, at least this season, when he's not out there. Right. Because you're used to seeing a guy just flying around the field, smashing into players, whether it's on special teams or defense. And, we missed that last week, and we need him. Right now is he may not have the big name right now, and he may never have that name, but he's doing a hell of a job this year with just making plays and doing what he's supposed to do, and he's the kind of guy that you want in your locker room. He's a leader on and off the field, so to have him on the field as a leader just amplifies everyone's play just a little bit more, because he knows – because that he's relying on you to do your job, because he's going to do his job. So you don't want to let guys like that down. So to have him out there, I think raises everyone else's play just a little bit.
Right. You're right, Johnny. You know what? It's 8 o'clock. It's 8:03. We got a little while to the game, and so we're going to cut it off here. I do want to throw something out there I just saw on Twitter before we go, because we kind of touched upon this early, John, and something I touched upon yesterday. Dilfer, I guess, during the Monday Night Countdown had mentioned something on Tyrod Taylor, and he said that Tyrod's passing game is remedial. The Bills are chuck and duck in the end zone with no sophistication, man. That's a bold statement, but, I mean, when you watch all 22 every week, there's some truth to that. So he's obviously a guy that's going to have to lead this team, especially if, we can't get McCoy in the run game going. So, but, Shawn, you said it right. Control the line of scrimmage on both sides, win first down in a hostile environment, and that is the way to get the Bills out of Seattle with a W. So thanks for coming on, Shawn, and calling in. John, we'll be in touch, buddy. You guys enjoy the game tonight, all right?
Let's go. Go Bills.
Go Bills.